Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Block to Block. Today, it is a small crew. It is myself, Lars, and
Isaiah.
oh,
And we
okay,
got some interesting topics for you today. It is Monday, January 25th, 2021. We're coming off
so
championship weekend in the NFL. We got the Packers recap and their disaster. We got the Chiefs Bills game. We got the NBA. We got it all coming. So keep watching. It's going to be a good one.
yeah. Would you like to start us off by talking about the championship weekend?
So let's start off with the Packers. Probably the most shocking turn of events over the weekend. Pretty sure but most people had the Packers winning this game, but they could have saw the Bucks when it wasn't out of the picture. But just how they lost, they were down obviously, but then they came back, and then they punted the ball twice, and then they kick a field goal, and then they don't get the ball back. They blew a lot of opportunities. Sure, you could say it's LaFleur's fault for kicking the field goal, but he had four. You can make a case, but I would have went for it. Rodgers could have ran it on that third and goal. You can make a case for the second and goal too, even. And just that it's a combination of everything. It wasn't one. It wasn't just Rodgers. It wasn't just LaFleur. It was a combination of all of it. You
Right.
know, Rodgers scores there. We're not even talking about LaFleur. We're talking about how they're going to be going to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks to play the Chiefs. You got to
Yeah.
take on this.
I agree with mostly everything you say. And looking back at it, I've seen it on Instagram a couple of times. It's Aaron Rodgers had a way better game than Tom Brady stats wise. I think he threw for more yards, less interceptions, a better completion rating. So it was pretty weird.
Tom Brady's better for the reason that he knows how to win games. Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers was playing comeback the whole second half while Tom Brady
right,
was running the ball. And
right.
Tom Brady knows how to win, Even though he threw 3 interceptions, he's just a good game manager. And that's why he has
Yeah,
been the 10 Super Bowls, and Aaron Rodgers has only been the one.
yeah.
So you can't
Um,
really compare the two. And Tom Brady's just so much better with late game situations than Rodgers.
I think talking about Tom Brady leads us perfectly into our next NFL topic, the GOAT conversation.
Right. It's obviously undisputed Tom Brady. I
Yeah,
don't think you can make a case for anybody else. No one even comes close to his accomplishments, 10 Super Bowls. And, just it's unbelievable what he's doing right now at age 42, I think, going to the Super Bowl with a new team, new coach.
yeah,
So it just shows that it wasn't all Belichick and Brady. It was probably a lot of it was Brady, just to
yeah,
help that you had Belichick.
yeah.
Belichick.
Since we're in agreement that Tom Brady's the undisputed GOAT of football,
Yeah.
where
So
would you rank the next QBs coming down, like the second and the third?
you know, second and third. That's you can make a case for a lot of people. That's where it kind of gets into uncharted territory, or like a tough conversation. But there's Joe Montana. There's a bunch of people you can make cases for. I think by the end of his career, Patrick Mahomes will be the GOAT. He's only 25. He's got Super Bowl MVP, MVP, and if he wins this week, next weekend, he could have 2 Super Bowls before turning 26, which is ridiculous when most people are barely getting started in the NFL by his age. So by the time he's 30, they're gonna run the AFC for years, for
Yeah,
probably 10 more years at the minimum, but maybe even more. And they keep adding pieces. I think the Chiefs could end up with minimum 6 Super Bowls
yeah.
based on how good Mahomes is, just
Yeah.
how the plays he can make are ridiculous.
So when you say that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the GOAT by the end of his career, do you think it's going to be a close contest between Tom Brady's career and Pat's career, or do you think it's going to be like by a long shot?
I
Who's going to
think
be way
it's
better?
I think it's gonna be close, because even have to be really good, like to get 10 Super Bowls. Like Mahomes still has a long ways to go. He could get hurt, something could happen. Trouble with management, but
Mhm.
It's looking good so far. They signed a 12-year contract, I think. So if they just win that, like he hasn't lost by more than a possession ever in his NFL career. Just
Yeah.
shows how good he is. They should have won undefeated this year. They only really lost to the Raiders. This is one of the greatest teams in history, and they're gonna go on a historic run for years to come. And that
Hmm.
showed they just dominated the Bills this past weekend.
Hmm.
It wasn't even close. People thought the Bills had a standing chance, but after going down 9-0 and just flipping the tables like that, like they did last postseason, it was
Yeah.
crazy to watch.
Hmm. Um, I know this next part isn't on our schedule, but I thought I'd bring it up. Deshaun Watson and the Texans management. Where do you think he's gonna land?
It's a great topic, great discussion to have. People are making cases. A lot of people want him to go to Miami. A lot of people want him to go to the Jets. Posted an Instagram picture in a New York taxi, it seemed like, with a Jets green hat on.
Mm,
Know, I could see him going to only realistically three teams. I think the Steelers have a chance of getting him, but very doubtful, my opinion. Just I don't think a lot of teams are pursuing him, except those teams with the top picks, which are the Texans. I mean the Dolphins and the Jets.
I've heard a few things about the Dolphins and him because Tua said something about him not wanting to play there. So the Texans are losing their star player, who for a player is probably not going to resign there. So I don't know if I'd consider the Dolphins as part of the case.
Dolphins for sure have a chance. They got the third pick. They got Tua.
Yeah, they could use that. That's right.
They got a ton of pieces to offer. I mean, if they get Deshaun Watson, they're just as good as the Chiefs, in my opinion. You get or they're actually not going to get Devontae Smith because they're going to trade him. But
With the third pick.
in the coming years, they got a lot of good pieces down there in Miami,
Yeah.
and they can make a run at the Chiefs. I think a lot of teams can make a run at the Chiefs, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be like
Yeah.
LeBron in the East for his whole career, pretty much.
Yeah. Teams that are close, but you're going to have to really push for it for sure.
hmm
Yeah.
So let's move over, I think, to the NBA right now.
Yep.
We got I know last episode was primarily focused on the Nets big three. You got any thoughts in the past, like 2 weeks of their existence?
Honestly, they look great. There's not much you could say about it besides losing to Cleveland twice, despite because of a great showing by Colin Sexton. Um, they look great. You'd think there's not enough ball for all three of the players, but James Harden's been making some of the extra passes. Kevin Durant has. Kyrie's back in the mix now, and I think they still need more time to fully come to true strength. But I think they're great.
They're good and all, but look at the teams who they beat. They just barely beat the Heat. Well, I think they beat them more soundly today, but last
Hmm.
game it was a struggle to beat the Heat without Jimmy Butler. I'm pretty sure they were missing a couple other people as well.
Yeah.
They lost to the Cavs twice. I know it's the first week, but it seems like they're going to have to make some more trades, I think, to get some more defensive pieces. Jared Allen
Yeah.
was really holding it down for them the past couple seasons down there. I just don't think DeAndre Jordan at this point in his career is good enough to hold it down there. They're really struggling on defense, even though they gave up only 85 points to the Heat today. But they're
Mhm.
missing Jimmy Butler. It's going to change come playoff time when teams start playing more physical, more
Yeah.
competitive. I think in the playoffs they're going to struggle a lot defensively, which I think
Yeah.
is going to end up costing them because there's a lot of characters on that team, like we mentioned last episode. I
Yeah.
just think they're going to melt down somehow. I just don't see them making it unless they make a trade for like an Andre Drummond or something.
Right. I did hear rumors about them wanting JaVale McGee. I don't know why they wouldn't just go for Andre Drummond instead. Because JaVale McGee, he's a decent defender. He's actually pretty good, but that decent isn't going to be able to hold down the floor for 35 plus minutes when you need
Yeah,
him most.
JaVale McGee's not going to be your difference maker in winning a
Exactly.
championship or not. Andre Drummond is the kind of player that would make that
Good.
kind of difference. But, he costs a lot of money. They're paying 3 superstars, Hall of Famers potentially, most likely, and, yeah,
Could you see them moving on from Kyrie for Andre Drummond?
like a trade offer?
Yeah.
I did not. Kyrie for Andre Drummond?
I mean, yeah, you're losing a lot there, but then there was also the whole, Kyrie not showing up
But I think
recently.
Kyrie's, I think he's coming around, maybe we don't really know what's happening off the court. Sure, you saw him at his sister's birthday party, but, it could be there might be having family trouble right now. You never know. You can't
Right.
judge. He's came back this past week. He's been playing. Seems like he's dedicated to the team, but, his past history, you never know. He
Yeah.
might mess up somehow.
What package would you put together if you were the Brooklyn Nets GM for Andre Drummond?
Andre Drummond was just an example. You got plenty of other people out there, but it's gonna be hard for them. Like I was saying, they kind of just gave up all their pieces for Harden, which was Levert and Allen and picks. Now they
Right.
don't have any picks. They don't have any stars a team would potentially want. It's gonna be hard for them. Like, what are you gonna give up, Joe Harris? But you
Yeah.
kind of need Joe Harris. It's gonna be they can't give up DeAndre Jordan. He's got a 3 years, 30 million. I don't think people are gonna want to pay for that after seeing how he's playing. I just think it's gonna be tough for them to make a trade, considering that all their pieces are gone.
Yeah. And that bench that we talked about in the last episode, that was already looking terrible. It's looking worse now. Like Landry Shamet, terrible.
Yeah, and
He's so awful.
they're playing dudes who should be in the G League, like Reggie Perry, and just randoms
Yeah.
the average NBA fan doesn't know.
Yeah. Since I haven't been keeping up too much with the Nets, as in watching their games, has Nicholas Claxton been doing anything? Because I
I'm
remember
pretty
him
sure
getting
he's
a lot of
just in a
praise.
suit every game on the sideline.
Wow.
Yeah, like for the past, yeah. I don't know about. I've just the Nets games I've watched. I have not seen him get in.
That's crazy to me. Because
Uh,
aren't they playing a lot of small ball with Jeff Green?
Jeff Green's doing well for them,
Hmm.
and yeah, we got that. So in the NBA, we got the power rankings. Lakers are 1, Clippers are 2, Bucks I believe are 5. Who could you see making a climb up? An underrated team, a possible 6 seed in the East or the West?
For this season, honestly, that's a difficult question. Outside of this season, I feel like I could see the Knicks starting to climb because they're really seeming like they're putting it together. But it's not going to be this season. I think they can maybe make a play in this season, but not the 6th seed. I can see the Cavs pushing for the 6th seed, honestly,
Yeah. So the
for sure.
Cavs, I just watched the whole game of the Cavs 20 minutes ago. They played the Lakers. LeBron had 46. It was a great game for LeBron. First game in Cleveland in 2 years. One of the probably the most exciting Laker game I've watched this season,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Uh, just the Cavs, they're competing with these great teams, even without Kevin Love, who they might be trading for even more pieces.
Yeah,
They could trade him to a veteran team and get more young pieces. That would really help them. And for the future, they're going to be a really good team. 4 seed, possible 3 seed in the next 5 years with the pieces they got. Larry Nance didn't even play today, but I don't think that would have affected the outcome. But still, they got a ton of good pieces. They're built for the future. Great coach. I think I see great things happening in Cleveland. And I think even this year, they're competing with the Nets. They beat the Nets twice, just lost to the Lakers. But, it's a hard game when LeBron scores 46, just because it's his return to Cleveland. But maybe without that motivation for LeBron, I see them winning that game. And, they're beating a lot of good teams, and I see them making the playoffs this year. Most 80% sure.
I like mostly everything that Cleveland has done this year. And the only thing I don't like is that the Kevin Porter move. I
Well,
know that they had to because of what was going on in the locker room, but that too I think is their fault because they gave a new guy his
they were
locker.
gonna trade him anyways, so they kind
Oh,
of did it
really?
on purpose. Yeah, because I don't know if you know, but in the off season they had difficulties with him. He was tweeting all these depression tweets and
Oh,
just like he doesn't want to be here anymore. It was a whole mess. So I think he deserved a new start
yeah.
somewhere. I
I
just
think
hope
he's
he
gonna
goes
do
work
great
it
in
out.
Houston.
Yeah, they got a lot of old dudes over there, a lot of players who want to prove themselves, but I think if they develop him, they got Kenyon Martin Jr. playing over there, who I don't think is very good at all. And,
He's not.
I think he'll be getting a lot of minutes, like 25 more minutes than he'll be getting in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland's trying to make a more of a push, while I think Houston's trying to develop or like just basically play basketball because a lot of those dudes have been hurt the past couple years.
Yeah. What about the West? Any people you feel like can make a push in the West?
I think the Nuggets are going to start winning more games. They're pretty
Yeah.
down right now, but other than that, I can't really. Let me look at the standings. Hold on.
Go for it.
All right, so I got the standings pulled up. Uh,
Mhm.
Mavericks aren't even in the playoff. Oh, the Nuggets are actually the 5 seed. I take that back.
Okay.
But you know, Pelicans, they've been struggling this year. I thought they would for sure be at least a minimum 6 seed. I thought I know we just talked about, but the Cavs, I didn't think the Cavs were going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. But, Pelicans, I definitely expected them to be doing better at this point. 5-10 just isn't going to cut it. That's kind of where they were last year, and they added pieces to make them better. And Zion is playing basically the whole season. It's not going well for them. I think the Warriors are going to make the playoffs. They're the 10 seed
Yeah.
right now. It's really close. Those last really, it's really a one game difference between the 4 and the 12 seed.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change over time as teams play more games and start to lose more.
Yeah.
Timberwolves, obviously, they're going to have a top 5 pick again, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They're really struggling with caps, injuries, and off the court issues with
Mhm.
COVID, and just not going well for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I could see, honestly, this might be a hot take, but I could honestly see the Kings start to push again because we saw how good Tyrese Halliburton was at the beginning of the season. I don't
Mhm.
think it'd be too far to see them make a play in or an eighth seed or
I don't
seven.
know. They're just an interesting team. They got Harrison Barnes, and then they got De'Aaron Fox, and then they got Marvin
Rashawn
Bagley.
Holmes.
They got a lot of. They're all over the board, really, and
Yeah.
just I don't think they have the strength to beat a top team like a lot of teams do who make the playoffs. Obviously, if they do make the playoffs, it would be a very low 8 seed, but I don't
Yeah.
I don't see if they keep doing like 10 seed well, they're not going to be getting good players in the draft. Sure, they got Tyrese Halliburton really fell in their lap. They didn't make
Yeah.
any trades for him. They just a lot of teams passed on him, but you know, I don't Sacramento, it's kind of hard to develop in these cities that don't have a high free agent market just because of the city they're in.
Yeah.
Like Utah, they're one good player away from making this Western Conference Finals. I think they could have even made it this year. They barely lost to the Nuggets, who made it. Obviously, I don't think the Nuggets shouldn't, but the Nuggets played really well. But I don't think they're a team that should have been there, in my opinion.
Who do you think should have been there instead?
Clippers, but
Okay.
uh, they had their troubles. They
Yeah.
got rid of a couple people, so they're doing really well this year. But they were doing this well last year, so we got to really wait to see till playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs is like it's a completely different ball game. Players
For
start
sure.
trying harder. Like during these regular season games, like Lakers lose to the let's just say random lose to the Timberwolves for whatever reason. It just
Yeah.
could have been an off night, but like in the playoffs, people come in more locked in. They're not staying up till 2, 3 in the morning. They're going to bed at 11. It's just a lot different mentality in the playoffs. Just completely
Yeah.
different.
For sure. There's a total different mentality in the
That's
playoffs. People
why
can turn that switch so quickly.
that's why 7 seeds don't win championships.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think that covers a lot of it. There's not a lot going
Yeah.
on right now besides the Super Bowl. We got the NFL draft coming up in April. We got March Madness coming
Hmm.
up in March, one of my favorite times of the year. We got a lot of stuff going on. The NBA season continuing, possible All-Star game in Atlanta. What do you think about that?
Well, for football, the All Star,
No,
oh
no.
no, All Star game, NBA, right?
Yeah, they announced today they might have a game in Atlanta. I don't know if there would be limited fans, maybe some more vaccines come out. You never
Yeah,
know.
I need to see more vaccines come out because there's no doubt in my mind that they could play in Atlanta with the All Star game. But the whole point of the All Star game is from the fans, really. They don't want to just be in a quiet arena doing, cool dunks. It'd still be fun to watch, but it's a different environment. So for
Yeah,
that, I think there does have to be fans.
yeah, but All-Star game, it's just the experience, meeting gaining relationships with other All-Stars to maybe
Right.
team up in the future, like at All-Star games. You meet up, let's say LeBron meets up, or let's say Donovan Mitchell meets up with Bradley Beal. And they're like, yo, you should come down to Utah. And they're like, sure, I could do that. And the next thing you know, he's in Utah. It's gaining
Yeah.
those experiences, the opportunity for people to become All-Stars like LeBron, he has a streak going of however long, probably 15 years, something like that, of being an all-star. You don't want to kind of break that streak.
Right.
Also, jersey sales bring in a lot of revenue. I don't think it
Yeah.
would cost. They would probably make more money than lose money by doing this
Yeah.
all-star game. I just think it would be just another event to put on TV.
Hmm. Quickly before we wrap things up, the NFL draft, like you were talking about earlier, do you think there's a chance that Trevor Lawrence isn't taken with the first overall pick?
We're a long ways away. He might get injured in pro day or something. Very unlikely though. I think for sure he's the number one pick, no doubt in my mind, unless it's traded. But
Hmm.
the Jaguars have been looking for a franchise quarterback for a very long time, and I think that he's the guy.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to be that guy for the Jaguars for sure.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate our loyal viewers, the
Yep.
40 something of you. Hopefully we keep doing this and it keeps gaining some more steam. Might go on some different platforms soon. You never know. Just
Yeah.
gain some more resources. We
Maybe a
appreciate,
live broadcast one time. That could be fun.
yeah, answer your guys' questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I appreciate it. And so hopefully we'll see you guys in next week. That's
Yeah.
the plan.
Thank you all.
Thank you. See you.